Hello, I'm back again with another video, and I'm excited because I'm somewhere outside and I love this environment. It's so serene and I love it. So thank you so very much for watching the previous story, and thank you for keeping it here at Evangelist Mwai Alice. I really thank God for you, and I do not take it for granted that you have chosen to watch this video and all the videos that I've been putting up in this channel. So thank you so very much. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, and karibu sana. We love visitors, tunawapenda sana, na wakikuja mnakuwa wenyeji. All right? And God will grow us together. Here we inspire, we give hope to the hopeless, and we also heal the broken hearts or the paining hearts, those hearts that have been through a lot in life, and maybe you have never gotten a place to heal, or even a place to pour out whatever you've ever gone through. This is a channel where we shall be giving such a chance, platforms for you to pour out your heart and speak to us. Maybe walk us through your journey like I am doing right now. At least I am healed. God has healed me and I thank God. And we are going to grow together. I'm very sure God has a purpose and a reason why He called me to be here, and He purposed me to activate this channel. It has been there since I opened it in 2014, and I think I was just opening it as a way of maybe exploring or getting to know whether I can be able to open a YouTube channel, and it has been idle for all those years. Only that in 2020 I had uploaded a video, a music video, and I really thank God that we are here today. And so I left at a place whereby funds have been raised, and I have been bought school uniform. All right, one set of school uniform minus the sweater, because the sweater that I went to high school with was the same that I had in primary school. And this is the reason why. The high school I was to be admitted to, we could not manage, we could not be able to. So what happened? We tarmacked here and there looking for opportunities. For me, I remember there was someone who even talked to the Busara, I think director or the manager or something like that. I don't know exactly who was talked to. And I remember the Busara fraternity or the manager or the director saying that if only I could get 8,000 shillings for a term, they could accommodate me. That was another story now. Sasa 8,000 Kenya shillings. Where were we getting that kind of money? Unajua hiyo time, that is the kind of money that you could be given kwetu, ufunge hadi milango msipatwe na wezi, mtu asinuse tu uko na 8,000 Kenya shillings wasikuje kuwaibia. Because let me tell you, the poor called us poor in our village, and so we could not even afford that. And I ended up being admitted in the nearby day school, and that is where I schooled. Kahuho Secondary School. Kama wewe ni wa kutoka Kahuho High School, shout out. And I went there, was admitted there. And I remember for the 4 years, the first 2 years were smooth. I was given bursary. But shockingly, when I was in Form 3, the bursary was cut off. I wasn't given bursary anymore, and it became a struggle. So I started struggling out of school, in and out of school. But I completed high school. I stayed out for 4 years. Nika hustle. I remember employed as a salesperson in a cosmetics shop, in a beauty and cosmetics shop that was in 2012. In 2011, I went back to being a house help. Immediately I finished Form 4, I came to Nairobi to assist one of my sisters who had given birth at that particular time. So I assisted her for 1 month, and then I went for a job, the house help. All right, and after 1 year, that is when I one of my uncles volunteered to take me to a school, and I chose to do computer ICT module 1. We did it. I did it in a polytechnic. And after that, I remember in 2013, actually, I was employed in 2013. In 2013, that is when I started working. And so I hustled in Nairobi for a few months before I was laid off. And after I was laid off, I went to stay with one of my sisters for a month or so, and then I got another job as a house help. And when I was working as a house help, I was working for an aged couple. There were just the two of them. And while in this home, that is when I got an opportunity to go to college. And when I was in college, I remember it was so hard. It wasn't easy for me to get in because I remember we went for the first day, we were sent back home. The second time we were sent back home. The third time there was a lecturer who intervened. Dr. Ndungu, may God bless you wherever you are. If you watch this video, I am forever indebted. I am forever grateful for what you did, because she stepped in as a mother would step in for her daughter. And for real, for the years, not really four, because I was in college for 7 years. For 7 years, because of circumstances that were there, the ups and downs and all. And for that period of time that I was there, she was there for me. And when she stepped in, I was able to be admitted and await the deadline, because the reason why I was being sent home is because I had not paid the the whole fee for that semester. And so I studied, and I remember I used to pray to God that I would not call off any semester, because I had stayed out for so many years. Remember back when I had dropped out of school at class 5, and even after Form 4, I stayed out for 4 years. So I was really praying to God that when I get this opportunity, that I may not call off. And so there came a time at the third year when I was forced to call off. And I remember it was the hardest period of my time in campus. And so I was really down. I really cried to God, asking Him why this was happening to me, even after waiting for that long to get an opportunity. And I remember that semester, we were supposed to do the units that would take us to the teaching practice. I am a teacher by profession. And so when I called off, I was very sure that I won't go for the teaching practice when I was supposed to go for it. And I was supposed to go for 2 teaching practices. And so it was so hard for me to accept whatever had happened. And this is where I started reviewing my journey from when I was young. And I started complaining and telling God, you know what, God, I know if I had a father in my life, I wouldn't be going through whatever I'm going through. If only I had a father in my life, my uncles would not have mistreated us the way they mistreated us. The one who proposed or suggested that they could pay for a course for the 1 year, that was in 2012. Later on walikuja wakanigeuka, alikuja akanigeuka. It was a cousin to my dad. Alikuja akanigeuka, and I remember there was a time he even wanted to rape me. And my stay there, for the 1 year that I stayed there, it was horrible because the wife did not want to see me, and my uncle now, that is now my aunt, and my uncle now didn't want to see me either because I refused to do whatever he wanted. And I remember I really cried to God, asking him, telling him, if only I had a father, all this could not have happened to me. If only I had a father, he could have paid school fees for me. I wouldn't have dropped out of school. If only I had a father, we wouldn't be driven out of our home with a lot of shame. We wouldn't be treated the way we were being treated at our home. And I remember crying to God, remembering even how I would lose hope of even getting to proceed with my education in high school. And I remember there is something I have not told you. I remember when I got into Form 1, the first term was paid by Honorable Ngayo Kioni. May God bless you, mheshimiwa. Kama kuna mtu atawatch hii, amwambie there is a soul that he helped somewhere, and I am grateful for that. Term ya kwanza ililipwa, na by that time alikuwa ana kampenia kuingia kama mbunge wa Ndaragwa constituency, and he paid for me. So may God bless you. And so I remember telling God all this with a lot of pain, with a lot of tears. I was so teary, and that is when God took me back through my journey, and he spoke to me tenderly. That was the first time to hear God speaking to me. And he took me back through all that journey, and he showed me, if this did not happen to you, you would look like this. If this hardship was not never came your way, you would look like this. You wouldn't be where you are today. You would be somewhere totally different, a bad person in that matter. And he told me, if you had a father figure in your life the way you are telling me, if you had all that you wanted, you would be one very proud girl. And when you're going through pain, sometimes you don't understand even when God speaks to you. Although I would feel a lot of peace within, but whatever he was telling me would not make sense to me at that particular moment. All right? Because I remember that is when God spoke to me and told me, all this time I have been your father. Even when you didn't know, I have been there as your father. It's only that you never realized. And now I want you to know that I am your father. Eh, guys, I have never felt the kind of peace that I felt at that point. But I was bitter at the same time because I asked myself, if you really are my father, and if you have always been my father, why have you let me go through all this pain? Why then did you let me go through all this pain? Because I remember, even at the moment when I was calling off that semester, I remember I was dating at that time, and the relationship was not as good. And I remember I was going through a lot of pain, to an extent that I even developed ulcers because of whatever was happening with my relationship. And I was really in great pain. I remember I took that kit, the ulcers kit, There is a kit that you're given to take for 7 days. I was given a kit to take for 7 days. Each time I would take four tablets, and I can tell you for sure those medicine were bitter. And every time I would feel, even in my mouth, I would feel the bitterness from my stomach all the way to my mouth. I would feel the bitterness of the medicine that I was taking during that time. And I remember I took that kit for 7 days. There was no change. Because remember, Mimi, I think I have gone through a lot in my life, but that was the first time I was going through the pain of love, the pain that comes with love. All right. And I would ask myself, Alice, you've gone through a lot in life. What is this that has caused you even ulcers? I was shocked, but I was not able to control whatever was happening, to an extent that even after taking that kit for 1 week, for 7 days, there was no change. The pain was intense. And I remember I would pray to God. I would tell him to, if that was not the man for me, to just cut it off. But it doesn't happen the way we think. Later on, it came to an end. And by the time it was coming to an end, I had to make a decision. But let me tell you, so this time around, I was going through a lot of pain. And so when God is telling me that I have been your father, and all this while I have been your father, I was asking myself, how? Where have you been? I mean, a father cannot let her daughter go through the pain that we have gone through. And a father cannot let the children go through the pain that we have gone through. There are some pain that you can go through that sometimes you even lack words to explain. And so I was so bitter with God. However, the more he spoke to me, the more I felt that inner peace. I was feeling the calmness. And so it reached a point at that time. Remember when I called off, I couldn't stay in the hostels because I used to stay in campus hostels. And I remember I couldn't stay in the hostels any longer. So I went to stay with my brother, my younger brother, who is a pastor right now. And he used to encourage me. I remember him telling me, uh, you are going to study and you're going to graduate. And at that particular time, I had lost hope because I remember my communication with sponsors had broken down, and that is why I even called off. And now I didn't know whether the communication would be mended up, and so I didn't see the future. But God knew it all. He made sure that I called off so that He would speak to me. He would break me into a point of listening to Him. Because let me tell you, if I went through that semester, I wouldn't have concentrated as much. And if I went for teaching practice, I wouldn't have given it my all. And so he knew it. And when he did this, he wanted to have my attention. And yes, he did. He had my attention. I listened to him. And with time, through the encouragement of my brother and through God speaking to me, I came to the realization, oh, so you've been my father all along. Okay. And that was it. All right. That was back in 2017. Yeah, either 2017. Yeah, I think 2017 there. Because I remember I came to go for my teaching practice in 2019. And so that was that. I just left that at that point. In 2020, that is when I was doing my final teaching practice. And Corona got me when I was in the process of the teaching practice. And I remember we didn't finish. And that is why my graduation was delayed up until 2021. And that means I joined campus in 2014. So I stayed in campus for 7 years, 7 good years. And I do not regret, because God knew why. He knows He's the owner of seasons and time. And so let me come to the void that was created in me by lack of a father in my life. I told you my mom has been there for us, though we didn't have this close relationship of a mom and daughter. And I understand her fully, because we were toasted right, left, and center. And I can tell you for sure, this woman is an iron lady. She didn't go mad. She's still strong. All right? Akienda vibarua. Yani, anyway, that's a story for another day. But she's an iron lady. I salute her. Nikiwa campus, she used to walk on foot. Anaenda kwa mbunge wetu kunitafutia basari, and she usually got them. But I know one day, just one day, she will eat of the fruits of what she planted in us and what she did to us. The impact that the lack of a father figure in my life had. One, I grew up with a low, very low self-esteem. Like, I feel if my dad was there, this being twisted and turned all around, however the people felt like, wouldn't have been there. There is a musician that sang, kweri muthuri ari muoyo ni ari fataya, iroraga ciana ikwaigagwo Nyerere, ti-itherũ muthuri nĩ maitho ma Ngai, nĩarageria arĩ nario moyanĩire mabanga kũna, thayũ makagĩa ngoro ikahorera. All right. The late John De Matthew knew the importance of a man in a family. If you have grown with a father, hamwezi fanana na mwenye amegrow without a father. And especially because in most homes, when the father is out of the picture, the children plus the widow who has been left are so much molested, are so much oppressed in every kind of a way that the people who are around them can get. Not all the families that do that, but most of the families, that is what happens. And let me tell you, that is why I started by speaking to you in this channel about the widows and the fatherless. Because God speaks so much about these people. They have a soft space in God's heart. And so when we were left like that, one of the things were, because we were so much embarrassed. Imagine mkipigwa, the whole village wanatoka kujiangalilia how you are being chased away, being called all sorts of insults. And it led to my mom brewing chang'aa and whatever, and I told you whatever happened. So mnawatch na wanafunzi wengine kwenu kukitobolewa nini hizo drums za kupika pombe, hizo mabati za kuchoma hiyo unga, and you even watch your mom being handcuffed akishikwa. It was so traumatizing. So if it was like, for example, an afternoon, alafu mwalimu waingie kwa class, will you concentrate if you were the one? Akili haiko huko, iko kwenye mamako alishashikwa, sasa amefikishwa wapi? But I really thank God, because we are standing today. This also affected me in my area of relationships. There is a void that was in me that was craving for a love, that fatherly love, such that I remember when I was growing up, my sisters were not that lucky with the men that they got married to. Especially, I remember the sister who is in between me and my elder sister. We are three girls in my family. The sister who is in between me and my elder sister wasn't lucky. She's the first one who walked out of her marriage, and I would see the mistreatment and all. Then my other sister also left her home, and I was like, no, no way. The brothers to my dad who are left, maybe who could have looked after us, they neglected us. They were beating us up. They were chasing us out. And I felt like, no way, men are evil. And then most of my cousins from that family that was always in war with us, most of them, I think the three of them would approach me in a way that they wanted to seduce me into sleeping with me. And I remember one of them even went to a point of showing me his organ, his penis. And I was really young. I think hiyo time ilikuwa primary bado. So mimi, this thing made me grow up with hatred for men. I hated men with a passion, because I would see men are like my uncles who always chase us away. Men are like these husbands to my sisters who are always not okay with them. They are in and out of their homes. And I grew up with a lot of hatred towards men. And guess what Satan did with that hatred? He introduced me into something we call masturbation. And I remember I lived with this pain. No, I wouldn't call it pain, because when I was introduced into it, I was introduced with one of my cousins. And when she introduced me into it, because of this hatred for men, Satan came and replaced it. So you don't want men? All right, I have a solution for you. You won't need a man in your life because you have this. And I got into masturbation. And I can tell you, I fought with masturbation. Or to start with, I didn't know it was bad. I thought it was just something that girls do and you're good and all that. But as years went by, I came to learn that it wasn't okay. And I remember when I gave my life to Christ, because we've been brought up in Catholic Church, and when I decided to give my life to Christ, I think that is when God started a journey of redeeming me from this bondage of masturbation. And it took time. And I remember when I was in campus, God really, because remember in campus we go to a CU. I remember we even had some girls sessions. This, yani, God molded me, really molded me slowly by slowly, and I came to get out of that after several years. And I also have a fair share in my relationships, whereby if someone showed me even the little kind of, maybe they are loving me, mtu akuje tu anionyeshe tu ni kama ananipenda, even if, okay, nowadays I have come to know that most of the men that I have met with, whatever they have been showing me is not love, it is lust. They have been lusting upon me. All right, they have been lasting on me. However, I didn't know. I took it as love for me. Because remember, I do not know how love looks like. I didn't know how a man's love looks like. My mother was all alone. I didn't see my father showing love to my mom. So I didn't know how a man should show love to me. So akikuja tu kidogo hivi eh? anionyeshe tu kaupendo kidogo tu, I would feel that this man really loves me. However, because of the hatred for men that I had, I didn't interact with men so much, and that really helped me. But in campus, I came across they were there, and I came across one, the one that we were in a relationship with, and if even before I had dated before, but it didn't work. I dated in campus, it didn't work. But I can tell you, the lack of a father figure in a child's life really leaves a void inside of that child. And especially for a girl child, they will go looking for this love of a father, the fatherly love. And that is why you find so many girls being cheated on, being lied n- that I love you. Especially that two phrase. Ikitoka tu kwa mwanaume I love you, you feel in the moon, you know? Yet they may not even mean it. However, I have come to know that love is not just words, and it's more than that. The corona ilinipata nikifanya teaching practice yangu ya mwisho, and that time I was living with a friend, and I think because God wanted to do something in me and with me, he had to separate me with that friend, and he separated me in a way that I would feel discomfort in wherever I was living, and he channeled a way for me to live alone. And when I was living alone, that is why when God spoke to me and he told me, I spoke to you in some years back that I am your father. And he told me in 2020, that is when he told me, I spoke to you and I told you that I have been your father. And you need to speak to my people and tell them